Long before European ships reached the shores of what we now call Georgia, indigenous peoples thrived in this land. For centuries, they cultivated the fertile soil, hunted in the vast forests, and created vibrant societies. These were not simply scattered tribes, but sophisticated cultures with their own languages, beliefs, and traditions. The Mississippian culture, known for its impressive mound complexes, left an indelible mark on the landscape. These mounds, often used for ceremonial purposes or as burial sites, stand as silent testament to the ingenuity and social organization of these early inhabitants. The arrival of Europeans in the 16th century, however, would forever alter the course of their history. Spanish explorers, driven by the quest for gold and glory, were among the first Europeans to set foot in Georgia. They encountered Native American populations already weakened by diseases inadvertently brought over from the Old World. The Spanish established missions and attempted to convert the indigenous people to Christianity, often through coercion and exploitation. Their presence marked the beginning of a long and troubled relationship between Europeans and Native Americans in the region. The clash of cultures fueled by greed and misunderstanding would have devastating consequences for the indigenous population. In the early 18th century, a new chapter began in Georgia's history with the arrival of James Oglethorpe and his vision for a utopian colony. Oglethorpe, a British philanthropist and member of Parliament, sought to establish a haven for England's worthy poor, those imprisoned for debt or facing economic hardship. Georgia, the last of the original 13 colonies, was chartered in 1732 with the aim of providing these individuals a fresh start. Oglethorpe envisioned a colony built on hard work, social equality, and opportunity. He banned slavery, believing it to be morally wrong and economically unsound. However, the reality of colonial life in Georgia often fell short of Oglethorpe's idealistic vision. The colony faced constant threats from Spanish Florida to the south, leading to costly wars and a heavy military presence. The ban on slavery, though well-intentioned, proved unpopular with many colonists who desired the cheap labor that fueled the economies of neighboring colonies. Despite Oglethorpe's efforts, economic hardship persisted, and the promise of social mobility remained elusive for many settlers. The utopian dream of a colony free from the ills of European society gradually faded, replaced by the realities of frontier life and the pursuit of profit. The outbreak of the American Revolution in 1775 brought new challenges and opportunities to Georgia. Initially divided in their loyalties, Georgians ultimately joined the fight for independence, driven by economic grievances and a growing sense of American identity. The war brought both hardship and heroism to the colony. Georgia served as a battleground for several key engagements, and its citizens contributed to the Continental Army. Following the war, Georgia ratified the United States Constitution in 1788, becoming the fourth state to join the newly formed nation. The early years of statehood were marked by westward expansion and the continued displacement of Native American tribes. The discovery of gold in northern Georgia in 1828 fueled a land rush that further encroached upon Cherokee territory. Despite their efforts to assimilate and negotiate with the U.S. government, the Cherokee Nation was forcibly removed from their ancestral lands in the 1830s. This tragic event, known as the Trail of Tears, saw thousands of Cherokee people driven from their homes, forced to march west under harsh conditions. The forced removal of the Cherokee stands as a dark chapter in both Georgia's and the nation's history, a stark reminder of the human cost of westward expansion. The issue of slavery would continue to cast a long shadow over Georgia and the nation throughout the 19th century. The state's economy, heavily reliant on cotton production, was deeply intertwined with the institution of slavery. As tensions over slavery escalated, Georgia joined other southern states in seceding from the Union in 1861, precipitating the American Civil War. The war brought devastation to Georgia, with major battles fought within its borders and its economy left in ruins. Following the Confederacy's defeat in 1865, Georgia and other southern states faced the daunting task of rebuilding both physically and socially. The Reconstruction era brought about significant changes to Georgia's political and social landscape, as African Americans were granted citizenship and the right to vote. However, this period of progress was short-lived. By the late 19th century, white Southerners had regained control of state governments across the South, and a new system of racial segregation known as Jim Crow was firmly established. Jim Crow laws permeated every aspect of life in Georgia, from schools and restaurants to public transportation and voting booths. African Americans faced widespread discrimination, disenfranchisement, and violence. It would take another century of struggle and sacrifice before the walls of segregation finally began to crumble.